I wouldn't have any more than about 66 characters. The meta description, I wouldn't have any more than about 150 characters. Those are probably the important ones, because if you have a look at search results, if you search Google for something, the title and the meta description is what tends to be displayed by Google there. So if you keep that the right length and you appeal to both search engines and users there, then that will give you the maximum click-through rates, and that will again be a signal to Google that your content must be relevant, so it's more likely to rank you higher in the future. And start tracking as well. Google Analytics is a great free tracking system. So hopefully, if you've got your site up and running, you're using some kind of tracking system to determine, who's visiting your site, what they're doing when they're on your site as well. And Google Analytics will show you that as well. You also need to set up goals as well. There are loads of goals that you can have within your website. I'm not just talking about selling something. You might have subscriptions. So you might have a newsletter that you're offering. You might have a blog where people are commenting on your blog. You might have people bookmarking your different pages using buttons within your site. You might have feed subscriptions, RSS feeds, and of course sales as well. So all these can be set up as different goals within Google Analytics. And it's important to actually track these different things, because what you can do is all the traffic that comes through to your site is you can see what the conversion rates are for all these goals. So if you see a website in particular that's driving maybe 10 visitors to your site every day, but of those 10 visitors, 5 of them are subscribing to your RSS feed, you know that a lot of visitors that come over from them are very relevant and interested in what you're saying. And you might have another source of traffic that's giving you 20 visitors a day, but none of them are doing anything. Perhaps they're only on your site for 10 seconds or so. So not all traffic is equal. So have a look into your analytics and determine what's the most relevant traffic, and then you can forge partnerships with people that are delivering you the best quality traffic. Start split testing. Content experiments, it used to be Google Website Optimizer, but content experiments is now within Google Analytics. And with content experiments, you can do A/B split tests. So you can actually do 2 different versions of a page, and you can see what converts the best. So that's really important when it comes to e-commerce sites, when you're trying to sell something online, because it's incredible, a different title, different description, slightly different photograph, different font color, different font type. Could make an incredible difference. Even the button, the call to action, what's in that button, what color that is. So test different things, do A/B split tests to actually determine what converts the best. I've managed websites that's had tens of thousands of visitors, and I've delivered a 20% increase in conversion rates from a conversion rate that was very good to begin with. So don't presume that something is doing really well. It can always be improved upon. So that's phase 1, software and structure. First of all, getting your host and CMS right, getting the design right, choosing the right theme for your site. Hopefully, if it's WordPress, it's going to be Thesis, a Woo theme, or a decent professional WordPress theme. Optimizing your site for SEO, using a decent plugin to ensure that you have unique titles, you have nice headings and meta descriptions on every single post that you make. Sure, it's extra effort to do, but it will pay dividends in the future, because you'll get those rankings. Google will be more likely to think those pages are completely unique. If you start delivering things like the same page titles across your site that many sites do, then Google will think that all those pages might be the same, or more likely to be the same. And if that's the case, then you're less likely to get those unique pages ranked. And the more pages you can get ranked, of course, the more traffic you can potentially get from SEO in the future. So that makes a massive difference. And track, measure, and test. Don't just put your website up there and start selling things and then start driving people to your site and hoping that it converts. You need to know what your visitors are doing. So analyze everything, where people are coming from, and what the goals and objectives that you've got set up. Hopefully you've got them set up. If you haven't, got them set up, then set them up. And set them up with a financial value as well, because you can put a financial value into Google Analytics goals. So even if you don't know exactly how much a visitor is worth, if you think that someone that subscribes to your email updates is probably 10% likely to go on and buy something for you, and you know that your average order value is £100, then you can actually say that everyone that signs up to your newsletter is probably worth £10 to you. So put that in your goal value, and then those metrics are displayed through all your referral traffic in Google Analytics. So you can see what different sources referred you traffic, how much specifically those sources were worth financially to you. So that's phase one. Phase two, get social and turn on the tap. So what's phase two all about? First of all, start publishing quality content consistently. Your website might be looking great up there, but unless you have decent content flowing on a consistent basis, then Google is going to think that your website is perhaps old, not relevant, and you'll have competitors out there that are adding content on a continual basis. So do that consistently. Syndicate your content far and wide as well. So there are different things socially, RSS-wise, that you can do to actually syndicate your content far and wide, get people reading your content on different devices. Test your metrics with PPC. So what I mean by that is actually driving a lot of traffic at your site to begin with. Once it's set up, once you've got your website selling things or whatever your call to action is, test your metrics by firing lots of traffic in there, and it'll let you better hone your conversion rates there. Because if you've only got 10 visitors coming a day, it'll take a very long time to actually determine what your conversion rates are. But if you can actually throw 1,000 people a day at your site, very, very quickly you'll determine what's converting well, and it'll be a quick way of actually improving your conversion rates. And finally, own and manage your social brand and your online reputation. So obviously I'm talking about Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, a few other social platforms as well. So registering your profiles and just knowing what people are saying about you online. So publishing content. Publish relevant, kind of quality and consistent content. That's absolute key. Make articles lengthy. There are so many, poor quality 300 or 400 word articles out there, and people just buy them for $5, publish them, and then they think that search engines are going to crawl their site, they're going to drive visitors at their site. It's a lot more about quality now. So I'm talking about lengthy articles. I'm talking about maybe 1,000 words, but also including images, embedding videos, very relevant. The kind of content that people will want to naturally share on Twitter or on Facebook or whatever social platforms they want to share content on. Outsource if necessary. Outsourcing's fine. You're in business and you shouldn't actually spend all your time producing content. But just ensure that the quality is there and you've got a consistent voice there as well that represents your brand well. So outsourcing content writing. Surprise, surprise, I'm recommending Odesk there as well. Now, how do I use Odesk? In terms of content writing, I think in terms of consistency and tone and language, I would recommend using native language writers. You can also search Odesk for the quality of the writer. So it's got an eBay type rating system where previous people that have used that person before will give them a star rating. So there's enough people on there to actually search for people just who are 4.5 stars and above. And you can also search by how much money they're wanting to write articles. Some people are wanting $100 an hour. You don't have to pay that much to have a great quality writer. I wouldn't suggest just searching for the lowest possible. Some people are willing to accept $5 for writing an article. But search for, what I do is search for between $10 and $20 per hour. And if you do that and ask for an 1,000-word article, you should get a decent quality article, probably for about 2 hours worth of work there. And that should, you should find someone after a while that can deliver decent, consistent content for your business. syndicating your content. So you want your content obviously published on your site, but if you're publishing it on your blog, then your blog has an RSS feed. Your RSS feed is a way that people can subscribe to the latest content on that blog. But it's not just a way to actually subscribe to content, it's also a method of delivering content elsewhere. And there are loads of blog and RSS directories, and you can actually submit your blog and your RSS feed on all these different directories. Social media as well. Once you've published a piece of content, tell people on Facebook, tell people on Twitter, interact with them a little bit, encourage them to retweet it a little bit there as well. There are also social media directories as well. So Facebook page directories, and there are lots of Twitter directories as well. So when you start using social media, make sure you submit your Twitter profile and your Facebook page to all these different social directories, because when you do that, when you add new content, when you get new followers, you'll start getting ranked higher on these directories, and people will start finding you through these social media directories, and that will drive them back towards your website, because you want multiple funnels towards your website in terms of delivering traffic. Now, obviously, I can't cover absolutely everything. 26-week digital marketing plan inner circle for the full submission list, because there are loads of Twitter directories, loads of Facebook page directories as well. I mentioned test your metrics with PPC. Google AdWords, probably in the UK, delivers about 90% of the search traffic, which is an incredible amount. So you know that the place to go if you want to drive lots of traffic to your site is Google AdWords. There are other pay-per-click networks to test, and you can test, but I would suggest getting Google AdWords right to begin with, and by focusing on the Google search to begin with. Google have lots of different partners where they deliver search results, and they also have their content network as well. But if you just focus on their search network, when you set up your Google AdWords account, you can choose to only display your adverts next to the search results, and that'll probably deliver you the highest click-through rates, and it'll be a lot of traffic as well. So if you just hone your activity on that area to begin with, to get your pay-per-click right, and then you can roll out the activity actually to other different networks after that. A few other pay-per-click tips here. Use exact match keywords and relevant landing pages. Now, Google, to begin with, by default, will try and give you as much traffic as possible, but it's probably not going to be as much relevant traffic as possible. And there are a few different things you can do to tailor the traffic that you get. One is putting inverted commas around your keyword phrase that you want to target. And what that will do is it will deliver people that have searched for that phrase, but also that phrase and a few other words as well. So if you're targeting red boots, and you've put your inverted commas around red boots in Google AdWords, it'll also bring in people who are searching for cheap red boots, old red boots. So if you only want to target red boots, what you want to be doing is put square brackets around the phrase red boots. So I would suggest starting off a Google AdWords campaign with square brackets around all your keyword phrases and having very focused, specific landing pages. So probably the biggest mistake that people make with pay-per-click is driving all the traffic to the home page. If your advert is about red boots, the title needs to be about red boots, the description needs to be about the best red boots and why these are the best red boots, and your URL in the ad needs to be your brand name / red boots, and the landing page needs to be about red boots and give people the opportunity to buy red boots. Don't drive people towards your home page and make people find that page. And it's incredible how many people advertise in Google AdWords. You click in the advert and you can't find what you were actually looking for, because people are paying good money for that. So give yourself the best opportunity to actually convert that traffic. Be careful with your budget. You can run away with a budget very quickly. You don't bid too low. I suggest bidding enough to actually go for position 3 or 4 to begin with, because the way that Google AdWords works, position 1 and 2 can often be fighting over each other to drive as much traffic as possible, they think, but because they're fighting, they're also paying a lot more potentially than position 3 or 4. So, if you try for position 3 or 4 to begin with, see how much that costs you, and then maybe test bidding a bit more and bidding a little bit less. Your social brand and reputation. So first of all, what you want to be doing is check your social brand availability. There's a great site called Knowem, where it's free to use. Enter your brand name within Knowem, and it'll check 550 different social sites to see if your brand exists there. So if I typed 26-week plan in there and clicked check it, then it would tell me all the social platforms that were free and available for me to register my brand name. And even if you're not intending on using your brand name, for YouTube or Facebook or whatever at the moment, grab it just now. If it's available, reserve it, because once you've got it, no one else can get it at all. So, it's a great idea to do that. Kickstart your social strategy. So, once hopefully your brand's free, register Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest and YouTube, I would suggest to begin with. Those are probably the important ones to begin with just now. And have a look at your competitors' strategy. You've got to have loads of competitors out there that are potentially doing a similar kind of thing that you're doing. So what are they producing in terms of content? What's working for them? You have a look at the content that's being shared, that's being talked about, that's being liked, that's being retweeted, and then you can start thinking about content yourself. Social is all about content and value, not selling. Don't try and sell anything on Twitter or on Facebook or on YouTube. What you're doing is you're delivering as much as you can just in terms of good value and information, and you're building trust. And people are talking about what you're talking about, and you can actually talk to people and show that you actually know what you're talking about, and then people might recommend you to their friends and be more likely to buy from you in the future. But they'll find a way to your site. But selling will certainly put them off. And generally, when they're on a social platform, they're probably not in a frame of mind to buy something immediately. Managing your social discussions. Has anyone heard of Hootsuite? A service called Hootsuite? Okay. So, third of people. So Hootsuite is a really good social media management platform. So you can actually manage your Twitter profile and your Facebook page and a couple of other social platforms from within here. So it means that you don't have to go onto Facebook, then go onto Twitter to see what people are saying about you. So you can subscribe to the feed that people are saying about you. So it'll save you a lot of time, and you can get other people to manage things on your behalf there as well. I've got someone that works for me in another country that focuses on Facebook and Twitter, and they use Facebook, they use Hootsuite to actually manage everything for themselves. Another thing you need to do is monitor your reputation. What are people saying about your brand? This is also often a big problem for companies that get negative tweets or negative Facebook comments, and then the worst thing is it's not dealt with, or it's dealt with very, very slowly. You've heard stories, I'm sure, of airlines or big hotel chains getting complaints, people talking about them on Twitter and them not doing anything about it. They're probably not even tracking what people are saying about their brand online. And if they are, then they don't have a proactive strategy in place to actually do something about it. So Google Alerts and another service called Social Mention, two free services that you can actually use to track what people are saying about your brand. So within Google Alerts and Social Mention, just pop your brand name in, say that you want to receive updates whenever people mention your brand name, and you will receive an email then, and you can decide whether or not you want to go in there, discuss things, and then try and resolve a situation as it occurs. So phase 2, get social on the tap. The summary is start publishing quality content consistently. Whatever your consistency is, that's fine. Once a month, as long as it's an absolutely great piece of content, at least 1,000 words, videos, images in there as well, but you consistently, once a month, just outsource the actual writing of the content, get someone on Odesk to write it. You can edit it very slightly. search on YouTube to actually see if there's any decent videos that are relevant and related that you can embed in the article as well. Then you can use a service like Fotolia, an image search service, where you can buy images for about $1 per image. So you can personalize your post, have a really good quality image at the front, and that looks a world of difference away from someone who's actually just bought an article for $5, 400 words. People aren't reading them anymore, and even if it's actually going to get to the top of Google and you're going to get traffic for it, it's going to send negative signals about your site. Because if people land on your site, they see a rubbish article, then they're going to go off. Within 5 or 10 seconds, Google are going to think, aha, that website is obviously not relevant for that search term, so next time I'm not going to rank them as highly for that term. That will be within Google's thought process. The time that people spend on your site after clicking through from Google search results is very, very important. So if you can deliver that good content, get people staying a few minutes on the page, viewing other pages on your site as well, that will positively impact your search engine rankings as well. Test your metrics with PPC as well. So set up goals, set up different conversion tests using Google Analytics, and if you do that, try and drive lots of relevant, decent traffic at your pages. And if you do that, then you can see what pages are converting well, what's working better in terms of headlines or images, and then you can maximize your conversion rates from there. If you don't set up any split tests, then you will never improve your conversion rates, so you won't make best use of the traffic that does hit your site.